Hello, everyone. Welcome to our continuing series on the introduction to Christian history. We're now on week 14 of our semester course, and today we're going to talk about the rise of the religious right in the 1970s primarily. We're going to talk about the erosion of denominationalism, John Paul II, the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, and the collapse of the Soviet Union. We'll also, if we have time, talk about feminism and liberation theology. And then probably in our next episode, we'll talk about cultural change and new forms of churches and the Protestant debate over women's ordination, which is actually still current and going on in some quarters. So let's jump into our notes for today. Here's the outline for this episode and the next. And so we'll kick it off by talking about the neo-Evangelicalism. So there was a perception that the American culture, we're talking now post World War II, there was a perception that the American culture was becoming increasingly secularized and hostile towards faith. And that's what led the conservative fundamentalists initially in the 1920s to disengage from mainstream culture and form countercultural communities. Circle the wagons. Carl F. H. Henry argued that fundamentalism, nevertheless, this was a criticism by fellow Christians. Henry argued that fundamentalism was too otherworldly and too anti-intellectual to gain a hearing among the educated public, and unwilling to concern itself with exploring how Christianity related to culture and social life in general. He proposed a reconnection with mainstream American culture. Remember that Carl F. H. Henry was the editor of Christianity Today. Within a decade, a movement had formed called neo-Evangelicalism. This is in the post World War II era, 1948, 1950s. They founded the Fuller Theological Seminary, which was located in Pasadena, California. Also, Carl Henry became the editor-in-chief of the new magazine called Christianity Today from 1956 until 1968. In 1966 was the World Conference on Evangelism. And this brings us to one of my favorites, Billy Graham. I remember attending one of his crusades at age 13 in Columbus, Ohio. The figurehead of this new movement of neo-Evangelicals was the evangelist Billy Graham. By the early 1940s, Graham had established a growing reputation as an evangelist and was being seen as a successor to Billy Sunday, who was a former baseball player who also was an evangelist in the early part of the 20th century. Graham was initially with the fundamentalist wing, but he gradually became alienated by its rigidity and its judgmentalism. Graham found that the negative cultural attitudes of fundamentalism increasingly got in the way of his evangelistic ministry. In 1956, a popular fundamentalist magazine called Christian Life published Is Evangelical Theology Changing? This is a picture of Billy Graham speaking in London in 1966. The article argued that the old guard based itself on the biblical verse, "Ye shall earnestly contend for the faith," which is in the book of Jude, verse 3. Earnestly contend for the faith. Whereas whereas the new generation preferred to base itself on "ye must be born again." John, the Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 7. A heated controversy resulted. 3 months later, the same journal published an interview with Graham in which he declared that he was sick and fed up with such controversies. For Graham, the ill-judged strategy of oppositionalism became a barrier to preaching the gospel. So something to give some thought to would be, what about the current culture wars? Would that be called oppositionalism? And if yes, is it a barrier to preaching of the gospel? In North America, evangelical is to be understood as a post-fundamentalist phenomenon. This is in contrast with Europe, where evangelicalism is a movement within mainline Protestant churches. In America, the movement arose in reaction to the perceived deficiencies of fundamentalism. It is true that evangelicalism picked up insights from other movements, the Reformation, Puritanism, Wesleyanism, and I would add to that list Pietism. Its impetus to retrieve evangelical traditions came from a conviction that fundamentalism had failed at the cultural, scholarly, and spiritual levels. So I keep going back because I keep finding cool pictures. So that brings us down here to 1976. Newsweek magazine declared the year of the evangelical. It shows a picture of evangelicals, someone kneeling for prayer on the front page. That was also the year that born-again Christian candidate Jimmy Carter became president of the United States. Okay, moving right along. So in the post-Christian Europe, 5 of the world's 10 most populous Christian countries were in Western Europe in 1900. That is Britain, Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. And 3 others, Russia, Poland, and Ukraine, were in Eastern Europe. That is to say, Europe was the heartland and focus of the Christian faith. Christianity at this point in time was a European religion, although it originated in the Middle East. In 2005, however, only one Western nation remained on the list of the most populous Christian countries. So you can see that there was a major shift in a course of a century. Western Europe is now the most secular region of the world. So how did this happen? How did a region of the world which was instrumental in missionary work throughout much of the world from 1600 to 1900 become a post-Christian society? The question is often framed in the light of religious renewal and revival in most parts of the world. So why is Europe the exception? This takes us to the secularization thesis, which actually began around 1900 with Max Weber, who wrote a book about the capitalism, the Protestant work ethic, and the spirit of capitalism as a sociologist. From a sociology point of view, he developed this concept of rationalization, which is the increasing cultural dominance of a scientific mindset, and he predicted that it would destroy the magical garden of pre-modern worldviews such as religion. He actually bemoaned that. He had conflicted feelings about the rise of capitalism. And in his thesis, rationalization brought ever greater levels of specialization, whereas education was once under the domain of the church. It became specialized, a specialized field under the control of local governments, and specialized pedagogical training for teachers. It became desacralized, and the same thing's true of the medical profession and many other realms of society that were once under the control of the church, but now were under the domain of specialists and professionals. One simple example would be the shift from pastor to therapist. And so many of the duties of a pastor today are being carried out by therapists or even life coaches. Weber called this the iron cage of rationality. Emil Durkheim was another anthropologist or sociologist that argued that religion was fundamentally a metaphor of the social order, which would be articulated and safeguarded by other, more rational means. And then we come to Peter Berger, an American sociologist who actively championed the secularization thesis in the early 1960s as inconsistent, but he later changed his point of view because he saw that it was inconsistent with the cultural developments of recent decades. In other words, the predictions did not come to pass. Religion became more important, not less important. Europe now tends to be treated as the exception, in that the global trend is towards a sustained or increased religiosity, especially in public life. What does that mean? That means religion is more involved in politics than it used to be, whether it be Islam or Christianity, even Judaism. Desecularization, religion is growing stronger in almost everywhere but Europe. So, why Europe? Could it be Protestantism is to blame for the secularization? Some sociologists argue that Protestantism's distinctive desacralization or disenchantment of nature and society encouraged the emergence of the natural sciences, secularism, and atheism. If you're wondering what they mean by the disenchantment of nature and society, I can give you one example. Roman Catholicism believes that the Eucharist actually manifests the body and blood of Christ, literally, materially. That is transubstantiation. Whereas many forms of Protestantism just believe it's a symbolic act commemorating the death of Christ, but there's no real presence of Christ materially or physically in the Eucharist. And so that's a desacralization. That's a disenchantment of a magical view or a mystical view of Eucharist to a more scientific worldview. That is the effect Protestant has tended to have on many aspects of medieval mystery, mysticism, to disenchant that and bring a more rationalistic view. So Peter Berger suggested that Protestantism caused an immense shrinkage in the scope of the sacred in reality. That's quite a sentence. An immense shrinkage in the scope of the sacred in reality, thanks to Protestantism. Protestants, he argued, did not see themselves as living in a world that was ongoingly penetrated by sacred beings and forces. Instead, they understood the world to be polarized between a radically transcendent divinity and a radically fallen humanity, devoid of any sacred qualities or connections. In other words, a radical transcendent deity, radically fallen humanity, and not much in between. No gray areas. No room for saints and Mary and pilgrimages, and no room for divine mystery. Everything is pretty much rational. And this, according to Berger, provided the seedbed for secularism to arise, particularly in Western Europe, where many of the churches had been allied with the power of the state as state churches, Lutheranism in Denmark, um, Catholicism in Spain, the Church of England in England. And so this creates a backlash of skepticism towards religion. In contrast, Berger argued Catholicism had contained the secularizing forces through its deeply symbolic understanding of the natural world and humanity's place within it. Without really realizing what it was doing, Protestantism, for Berger, opened the floodgates of the forces that would shape modernity and ultimately cause Protestantism such grief in its European heartlands. This brings us up to 1989 and the Catholic revitalization in Europe. The Catholic Church was aware of the radical social and cultural changes that were sweeping through Western culture in the post-war period, especially in Western Europe. There was a need for theological formulation to be able to translate the Catholic faith into a new cultural situation. The Pope who was on Peter's throne during the Second World War was Pius XII. He did not believe that there was any pressing need to engage these issues. He died in 1959, and a new pope arose after that. Let me bring the pictures up here. So let's go down. This is Pope Pius XII. He was pope during World War II, and he's been under a cloud of criticism for not speaking out more forcefully on behalf of the Jews who are being butchered in the Holocaust. And so that brings us to John Paul II, who was made Pope in October 1958. He was elected at the age of 78. And I said John Paul, but I meant to say John the 23rd, was expected to be an interim Pope because of his age. But he had bigger ideas than just a transitional papacy. So he took on the church's establishment by surprise and announced an ecumenical council to formulate the church's responses to the realities of the post-Cold War. And he called them together in 1963. 2,000 bishops gathered in Rome for Vatican II for 3 years. And it began its deliberations in 1962, and he died actually during that time. But Pope Paul VI was closed the proceedings in 1965. This was a epical event for Catholics, Vatican II, and it's been criticized by Catholic conservatives since. So, some of the decisions of Vatican II, they decided to affirm the collegiality of bishops. In other words, more of a conciliar approach to a spiritual authority, a new emphasis on the role of the laity, a more positive attitude towards other churches, conciliation towards the world's Jews, which was badly needed after World War II, reaffirmation of the importance of the Bible, and liturgical renewal. The main aspect of liturgical renewal was that they determined to encourage the Mass to be presented in the vernacular rather than in Latin. In other words, the people should understand what's being said. And this led to the translation of a new translation of the Bible for Catholics called the New Jerusalem Bible. It led to some controversy. For example, in Luke 1:28, the old translation in the Douay-Rheims, which was the equivalent for Catholics of the King James Bible for Protestants, Dewey Rames said, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women." That's Luke 128. But the Jerusalem Bible said, "Rejoice, so highly favored, the Lord is with you." And for a lot of Catholics, that was a big jump from "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with thee" to "Rejoice, so highly favored." So I believe that we're going to stop there for today, and I will continue with you in our next episode as we wrap up week 14 and move on to week 15 and discuss some of the changes at the end of the 20th century in global Christianity. Thank you very much for your gracious time and attention. As always, if you're interested in signing up for the certificate in Christian studies, please reach out to me and contact me, and I'll be glad to assist you. Talk to you next time. Bye.